Hi everyone, Bart from HVN here, and I wanted to make a quick follow-up video to a video I made a couple days ago about several different types of glove that I reviewed. And in that video, I was made aware by some people that I made some quite strong, disparaging remarks about the Red Dragon gloves, these. And I wanted to clarify my position on that in this video. Starting off with that, just to make clear that all gear reviews that I make on this YouTube channel, the opinions therein are solely my own. Even though this is the HVN YouTube channel, in my gear review opinions, I only represent my own experiences because that's the only thing I can do. I use the gear, I have opinions on them, and then I express them in these reviews. This is what all reviews do, basically. So I hope people watch the reviews with that in mind, but I just wanted to make it clear as well. And also, I use and buy certain items of gear with certain expectations and purposes, and I also try to be very clear in my gear reviews what I use them for. In my Spec short pants video, for example, I was very clear that I like them very much for what I use them for, which is just light training, light sparring, and teaching. They're nice pants for that, and the fact that they're 350 Newton is very nice. I maybe would not use them in tournament because the way that they're made is not particularly suited to that. If you want to know why, watch the video. So those are the caveats for the reviews. Now, I don't want to make a very extensive full review of Red Dragons because they've been out for like 7 years already. There's been tons of reviews out that have very extensive descriptions and stuff like that on them. I just wanted to give a quick overview of my experiences over the years of using them. I've been using quite a few pairs up to now, and why I have now gone over to these, the White Company gloves, and I just wanted to give a quick compare and contrast. So first I want to get into the positives of the Red Dragon glove when compared to the White Company glove. The Red Dragon glove is arguably more protective. It has hard plastic shell under medium density foam, so that protects quite well, especially if you put the Spec cups in, like I always do, the fingertip protectors that Spec sells for use in these kinds of 5-fingered gloves and lacrosse gloves and stuff like that. These are very, very protective. Not protective enough to use with longsword still, but good enough to use for most one-handed weapons, especially if they have some sort of more complex hilt. In comparison, the White Company gloves, I would say that they are protective enough for the same purposes generally, but they have some gaps that the Red Dragons don't. The main one is that near the index finger and the side of the hand there, they have quite a large gap where there is no real protection, there's just the leather glove. You could potentially get hit there and not really be protected as well. Now, this is why I say you would need a complex hilt for these to be most confident in using them. Because if, for example, I use my saber hilt, that gap is completely closed. I wouldn't have to worry about it. Even when using a more open-hilted rapier, such as this pike armory model here, is protected from strikes by the rings and is protected from thrusts by the front of the hilt. So, yes, there is a gap in the protection there, but if used along with the proper weapon, preferably something that has a more complex hilt, this is sufficient. Mostly, yeah, otherwise I would say that these are protective enough. There might be some side of the finger issues here, but again, if I'm using a hilt like this, the side of the finger is protected by the hilt. So I don't really believe there's a huge issue there. So while the White Company gloves are slightly less protective than the Red Dragon gloves, they, for me, do enough. If you get hit in the fingers a lot, maybe not get these. So those are that's the big bonus, the big plus of the Red Dragons. Now let's go into some of the more like less satisfactory aspects. Let's put it that way. I find that mobility in Red Dragons, especially if you put the plastic cups in, is less than satisfactory. It's not great. You can't really bend the fingers along more than like 1 or 2 axes. You can't use all of the knuckles really properly. Part of that has to do with the fact that these only come in size 12 and 13, and if they follow like hockey or lacrosse norms in terms of the sizing, that's youth sizes. I don't have huge hands, and these just about fit me, but they're not great. So in terms of that, especially as well, the White Company gloves has a bonus for me. These are one size only, but they fit me very well. I have relatively medium large sized hands, and these are great. And partially because of that, there's a world of difference in terms of mobility. You can probably even see it. Like, I can very clearly use my fingers much more nimbly than with the Red Dragon gloves. They're okay, but this is why I prefer to use the Red Dragons for Saber only, because Saber, well, people might disagree with me here, but they have less mobility requirements than a lot of other types of swords. There's no thumb grip or stuff like that, especially in the system I use, Ebenhar. It's just grab the sword in a slightly loose handshake grip, and then you're good to go. You don't really have to switch grips or anything, and for that, a Red Dragon glove is fine. So mobility, not too great, but passable. Durability is where these are a little bit hit and miss. They sometimes work well. You can use them for at least a year of hard sparring and tournament. Sometimes the stitching isn't great, but that is a problem that a lot of Hema manufacturers have, even the good ones. Fit your stitchings, Hema manufacturers, is my main point there. But yeah, these have it more than average. Damage is fixable with tape. As you can see, the older gloves that I have are like 50% tape by the time that they're almost retired, but that does decrease mobility over time. So yeah, the upside is that they're less durable, but they're also relatively cheap. These are usually 75 euros a pair, and this is one of the reasons why I still recommend these gloves to beginner fencers in my club, because they are protective enough for light sparring, sparring with light weapons, drilling, stuff like that. Anything up to actually full longsword sparring, they are okay for, and they are affordable as your first pair of gloves, and you won't be out a lot of money should they actually break. This is why I recommend these, and not, well, I recommend these over things like lacrosse gloves and hockey gloves with comparable protection, because while you can get lacrosse gloves and hockey gloves for 30-40 euros, they are much less protective than these. They have gaps in the fingers, they sometimes don't even have a hard plastic shell. If you want this level of protection in a lacrosse glove, you will probably get higher quality, but you will also have to pay over 100, 125 euros. And once you get in that level, I would just get White Company gloves, really. So that's my basic idea of the Red Dragon gloves. They're okay-ish. They're a good first glove to buy if you don't want to get straight into sparring gloves or full-sized longsword gloves, or if you want something for not too much money for use with saber or other one-handed weapons for just light training. You won't break the bank, but you shouldn't just expect the world from them. Once you become more experienced and you have higher expectations of performance of gear, which after a couple of years I started to have, you will probably start looking for something that is just a little bit better performing, more mobile, will enable you to perform better as well. And I have found that in the White Company gloves. They are more expensive, but you can tell that they're also higher quality, provide better mobility, provide comparable protection. So if you're still wondering whether to get Red Dragon gloves, I would say it's not a bad purchase, but you will probably get frustrated after a couple of years and start looking for something better. So that's the end of the video. It took a little bit longer than I thought. I hope this was useful for everyone and hope to see you all again in the next video. Thanks.